Hello, 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 and welcome to Myth Keepers. We are your hosts. I am Scott, and joining me, as always, he always makes sure to hold my hair back when my head is in the toilet. It's Zachary Attackery! He's also mewing right now.
Dude, I hold your hair back during multiple tasks.
Yeah. Many much tasks, for sure.
Hell yeah, brother.
Zachy boy, we are here. It is ACOMAF time. My favorite time of the week.
ACOMAF.
That's probably not true. But
hey,
I do have fun.
I'm going to be honest, bro. I've been looking forward to this one.
Have you? Okay.
Yeah, I had a good time with these chapters.
I read like half of this section over a week ago, so I'm going to be real rusty for the first part. So that's going to be on you probably, bud. And then I read the rest of this today. So hopefully that's stuff.
Rusty crusty ass.
Yes. Rusty crusty cunts.
I think I'm just excited that we're getting more world, and I'm excited to talk about
I love you
some
world.
I do love me some world. But hey, if you are new here, we're talking about ACOMAF, the second book in the ACOTAR series. This is our first time ever reading Romantasy and the ACOTAR series. And we are two dipshit guys in their 30s who don't read this kind of stuff, and we're getting our wieners hard while we're reading some fairy porn. So hopefully you guys are interested, and if that is your cup of tea,
we're doing a lot of gooning as well.
Doing some gooning. You guys should hit the subscribe button or follow us on whatever podcast listening app you are finding us on, because we're putting these episodes out every other week as we make our way through ACOMAF, and we are also discussing House of the Dragon every week after the episode airs. So if you're into that, we would love it if you followed us.
Hell yeah. True story.
It is a true story. Before we kick this thing off, I am not prepared.
I got it.
You got it?
Oh, hell yeah.
Do the thing, Scotty. Say some thank yous.
We love the people who have joined the Patreon and are supporting us, so we give them a special shout out here at the top of the episode. That is Hannah, Sarah, Kristen, Emma, Andrea, Terrence, Jenna, Chaz, Allie, Jen, Nathan, Jordan, Dom, and Nico. Thank you so much. We appreciate
legends,
everyone that listens and supports us in any way that they can. But these people get their special shout out because we love them the most. But we love you all. We love you all, truly.
What do they get for subscribing, Scott?
They get loads of extra
They get
little...
loads, period.
They get loads. The end. They extra content. We just did like 40 minutes of talking bullshit, playing a cheeky game. You'll find out along with me what gooning means if you're interested. Or you probably
it was an educational
know. Yeah.
It was an educational session.
Very educational. You can find out about baseball slang. We do a lot of cool, fun games. That's at the beginning of every ACOMAF episode. We also have Patreon exclusive content like the Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. Watch along. Hopefully, part 2 of that coming as soon as House of the Dragon is over, if we're being honest. So, yeah, go join the Patreon or support us in any way you can. We appreciate you.
And hey, guys, if that's not an option, just hit the follow button. Maybe share it with a friend if you guys know somebody that might enjoy this. That is a great way to support the show. But we're done begging you guys for shit. We're going to just talk about ACOMAF because...
we're in part 2 now, baby!
Yeah, I want to start this off by saying that I know that I'm in love with Morrigan, but I also might be in love with Amren. I also might be in love with Rhysand, and I also might be in love with Cassian.
That's interesting.
I just like am like, wow, this person sounds so hot. Always.
See, if anything, this section just proved to me that Morrigan is my one true and only love. So,
I mean, she did crush, and we'll talk.
We'll talk. So yeah, chapter 14. We left off at the beginning of it. The start of this new part 2. entitled "The House of Wind," which is very baller sounding. We find out what it is pretty quickly, if memory serves. And where we last left off, she had agreed to go with him, and basically agreed to not tell. Right? Was what it boiled down to. Not tell anyone what she saw and heard.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, like, the stakes are high. Hey, if you want to come with me, the stakes are high. You can't say a fucking goddamn thing, or people will die.
Right. Because
my people will die.
She was up at his mountain retreat home, and he was about to leave to go do business, and she did not want to be left alone. So she went with him. And they're in Cozy Rhys's home now. This is his house in the city of Valaris. And
my boy's fancy. He's got multiple pads. He's like, this is my city house.
He's got a city house. He's got a summer house. He's got a fancy.
I got a mountain house.
He's got a house of wind. He's got all of them.
Any house you want, baby girl, I got you. You pick one.
Yes. So I can't remember who it is that says here, Feyre or Rhys, but there are no cities left. Okay, so this clarified something I was confused about, because she seemed super stoked about the city aspect at the end of last chapter, and I was like, okay. So there are no cities left in mortal territory. Like, none. I guess they're just towns and villages is as big as they get.
Correct.
But she does say there's some on the main continent, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Is this not the main continent? What are we talking about here? I was a little confused by that.
Yeah, interesting. I didn't catch that, but that is
because I thought this was the main continent, and there was the island, Highburn Island, wherever over there. Maybe I misunderstood this, but I did make a note of that. I was like, what the fuck is the main continent if this is not it?
Well, it's a good thing we have a community of ACOTAR experts who can correct us and tell us what idiots we are.
We deserve it and need it, honestly. Rhys tells Feyre that no one but he and Mor can fish their way into the house. They can do the winnowing.
It's not minnowing.
It's definitely minnowing. She's safe here and in the city. She can go wherever, see whomever, because no one has breached the city in 5,000 years, Zachary. That's a long-ass time.
Doesn't she just love a good round whole number like that?
Yeah, it's very convenient that it's...
very believable.
Gosh, I'm sure it's like, you just round. It's like 5,102, but it's funner just to say 5,000.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we I think this is the first time we get names for these little like shadow ghost things.
To my recollection, yes, the handmaidens, right?
Yes, the handmaidens. They are called Nuala and Caradwyn.
I don't remember them being named ever before.
Yeah, I don't think they were. But Caradwyn is kind of a cool name. I like that. And they are like actual handmaidens, and it seems like they're kind of like assigned to her.
Nuala just makes me think of Nutella.
Nutella, yeah. That's what I thought too.
Eat her up. Because Nutella's good. Nutella's good as hell, bro.
I want to eat her up, he says.
No, yeah. They kind of do seem like they're just assigned to her. But they seem very loyal to old Rhysy boy. I'm sure they're like his maids. I don't know how to refer to them, but
they're handmaidens. Yeah. That's it. They're like servants of the house, I guess. I don't know. Like, whatever.
Sure.
Okay, so she is in the house. It's small. She starts to realize like there's really no escaping Rhys right now, other than running outside of the city. And she's like trying to figure out like, do I just go along with this? Like she agreed to come, but she's starting to feel trapped. What's happening.
Well, she's also just still hella tired and unhealthy. Also.
Very, very unhealthy. And it's about this time that these two giant silhouettes show up and start banging on the door and just like talking a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is like they reminded me I can't remember their names, dude, but the little devils that are with Hades and Hercules.
Really? Okay.
Like their attitudes, like obviously, like these are obviously hot ass fucking men, but like
I've not seen
just
Hercules in forever.
their banter and just being kind of like idiots with each other and talking shit to Rhys. That was the vibe that I got. I think it changed after that, but that was my initial impression.
Well, because it seems like from what the information we get later, Cassian's the real dipshit. Like Azrael seems a little bit more like reserved, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't remember a bunch of the interaction here because, like I said, this was part I read a while ago. I just remember being upset that instead, this is my note verbatim. Oh, sure. Instead of meeting these new characters and getting to hang out with more, Feyre goes upstairs to nap instead. I'm like, God damn it,
hey,
Feyre.
Dude, she's an EP guy, man.
I'm like, I just want to meet new characters and hang out with Morrigan, but Feyre has to go take a nap. So fine. So be it.
Yeah, man. I do like that Rhys says under his breath that he's gonna beat the shit out of one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, boy, they're gonna catch these hands, these fucking mind hands, bro.
What?
Yeah, man, he's got them mind hands. Wait, what?
You mean that kind? He's got the mind crush?
Dude.
You don't think I got my boy Yugi on standby? Come on, standby.
Hell yeah.
You better believe I do.
Dude, your arsenal on the soundboard is
so
me. Wait. Your arsenal on the soundboard is so skibbity.
Oh, I hate you.
It's such trash.
Feyre asks Rhys, like, hey, I can't remember exactly how this interaction goes, but the handmaidens tell her that they are Rhys's inner circle, and I think she asks, like, is all the High Lords so, like, casual with the inner circle like that? And they're like, no, but Rhys is. He's, like, the only one that seems to have true buddies, you know, around. So.
My first note on Cassian is he's big and loud and obnoxious, and I love him already.
Yeah, well, he's certainly better than the Cassian from your other series. That is the name, right? Same name?
Yes.
Yeah. Certainly more likable.
From Rogue One, right?
Oh, that is what's the name of your boy from Stormlight Archives?
Oh, Kaladin.
I really thought he was Cassian.
Because he definitely is better than Cassian from fucking Rogue One.
Wait, is Cassian the one that was in Andor? Cassian Andor. Yeah, he was better in Andor. Andor's a decent show, shockingly so. But
interesting.
Anyway,
it is the same guy, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
It is.
Okay, all right. I don't watch that shit, so.
Yeah, listen, Disney. Anyway,
I'll get negative aura if I watch that shit.
True, actually. Feyre asks how this city is here, and they tell her that Rhys is very powerful and cared about its people long before he even took over for his father, but they refuse to tell her the details of how this city is still here and standing. Well, we find those out in a bit later. And then I think I have a quote from her as she's like falling to sleep.
Oh, yes, I have the same quote.
Maybe Amarantha had won after all, and some strange new part of me wondered if my never returning might be a fitting punishment for him for what he had done to me. This is obviously referring to
Tamlin.
Old Tam, yeah. That
old
is
tampon ass.
Damn. That is a damning ass quote about how she is currently feeling about Tamlin. A fitting punishment for what he had done to me. Jesus.
I think that, we're going to get more of stuff like that, but I think that the theme for me of this batch of chapters, aside from like introduction, to these new characters, was just like character, like introspection. Like I feel like characters are very self-aware in these chapters, and I really liked it. Like that's what I was very drawn to in these chapters.
It's a lot of that, and a lot of like new world building.
Yes.
We've established this world through the first book and a little bit to now, but it's like the world is expanding, so we need to explain a lot of new things.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else from chapter 14 for you?
Nope. That's pretty much everything I got. Other than the fact that I took a note that Mor is in the house. And I mean, you kind of said that.
Which is why I'm so pissed that Feyre is napping when she could be hanging out with Morrigan. Chapter 15 starts, and I say, I do not recall the description, but I said, oh, winter outfit mode Feyre sounds cute as hell. I think that outfit sounded like that drip. That was drippy. You know what I'm saying?
That was drippy. Hell yeah, my boy.
Do you remember this? The way it described her outfit?
I mean, I don't remember the description specifically, but it definitely was like, ooh, this kind of like this, like she's working it.
Yeah, 100%.
She's gonna become the Rizzler in that drip.
We gotta stop making so many fucking references to the
I can't stop, dude. Now I know.
Here.
Now I'm informed. I can't stop.
No, I'm the one that's informed. This city sounds super cool and beautiful. Feyre seems to be simultaneously like enchanted by the city, but also angry.
Yes.
And we see her anger kind of building for a bit, and the reason behind it, and it basically boils down to why, like, what gives these people the right, like, how they escaped unscathed, why didn't they help during like the rule of Amarantha type of thing?
Yep.
And
she's pissed that they are living a peaceful life.
Right. Which I can kind of understand where she's coming from, but that just seems so shitty, Feyre.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it, I don't think it's, I mean, unless I missed something, I never really picked it up as like she's out, like she's feeling that way towards the people that live there, but more feeling that way towards Rhysand for him saying like, I'm against Amarantha, I want to rise up and fight, like, and protect all of Prythian, but like he has this entire reserve of his armies and his people, and they haven't done.
That's fair. I think it can be partially both, but I also feel like, listen, Feyre went through a lot under the mountain, but she also wasn't there for 50 years, like, everyone else was also. So it's like her being like offended on behalf of, oh, well, you don't know what we had to go through. It's just a little bit like, I mean,
that's
were there for what? A couple weeks? Well, I can't remember how long it was.
A few months, I feel like.
And it was a shitty time, don't get me wrong, but anyway, I didn't love that from her.
Wow, way to trauma shame her, Scott.
Truly, honestly.
What an ally.
I didn't love that from her, but I feel like, again, she's working through some things, and it's her anger, I think, is understandable if you boil it down to that.
Yeah, I had a quick note. This is just like a writing observation that I had. My note here is that Sarah J. Maas's writing sometimes really trips me out. She there's this moment where Feyre is walking out of the house, and there's like this really beautiful like phrasing that she uses to describe what Feyre is feeling as she's walking out, and it says, each step towards that bright threshold was both an eternity and an invitation. And I'm like, man, that's like really pretty, like eloquent writing.
And prose.
Then the next sentence was like, the sight of the city gobbled me up, or like something like that. And I was like, wait, what?
Gross.
It was just like,
that's like me with that Nutella.
Fuck.
I'm doing some goblin.
It's just like sometimes
it's a little
choice,
hit or miss is what you're trying to say.
It's just like it does definitely make me laugh. But
that is funny.
Anyway. Okay, sorry.
I have a quote here from Feyre. This is, I think, her kind of confronting Rhys about what we were just talking about. Did you even think for one moment to extend that luck? Because I think he said, like, how is this here? And he says something like, we were lucky.
Right.
To extend that luck to anywhere else, anyone else. And he tells her, other cities are known to the world. Valaris has remained secret beyond the borders of the lands for millennia. Amarantha did not touch it because she did not know it existed. Spells and wards, my ruthless ancestors were willing to do anything to preserve a piece of goodness in our wretched world. And Feyre still pissed off. And when Amarantha came, you didn't think to open this place as a refuge. And Rhys just says, when Amarantha came, I had to make some very hard choices very quickly. So again, like, listen, I understand where she's coming from, but she also has to appreciate that she was not there when all that shit went down with Amarantha, and probably does not fully grasp and understand.
Right. And also she has to understand that, like, despite the rest of Prithian, I mean, Rhysand did protect his people.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Like, his people are safe because of, because of what was inherited with the city, but also because of his
quick thinking,
willingness to, like, to safeguard it.
The willingness and the choices that he made that we find out later for sure. So they explore the city for a little bit. Everyone seems to really love Rhys, but they don't really acknowledge her. I don't know if this is because they don't know about what happened under the mountain, or just don't know this is her. Either way.
Mm-hmm.
They go to, like, the arts district.
To the Rainbow of Alaris. Is that what it's called?
Is that what it was called?
Mm-hmm.
The art thing is still triggers her. She gets kind of moody and tired again. And she almost, like, rages at the people for being normal and having normal lives.
Mm-hmm.
But he tells her that his people are blameless and not to blame them.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Again, this is just a guy that, like, I can get behind.
Yeah. For sure. Well, you talked about how badly you wanted to get behind him.
I mean, I could get in front of him if I'm being honest too. So,
yeah. And then he tells her they're gonna have dinner with his inner circle, so she can decide whether or not she wants to work with them after she meets them. I think that's more than fair, because they kind of are a lot.
Yes. Something I also liked about this too is when he realizes that she's, like, not feeling well. And we see this a couple times. Like, he is constantly like, you don't have to do this.
Right. Giving her the choice.
We can come back another day. Like, he is just being so, I feel like, available and supportive in the ways that she needs.
Yeah.
Yes. And I like it.
It's good.
It's very good.
He has been on a long winning streak, and I can't think of anything that, like, you know, changes here. Like, the Rhys stock kind of just keeps going up and up and up.
Honestly,
can it get much higher? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
What happens next here, Zach? I think I lost.
Yeah. So they start heading up to dinner, and they are walking up the hill. And it's when she's walking up the hill that she realizes, like, fuck, man, like, I am really weak.
Yes.
And out of shape and tired. My body's fatigued. And she hadn't really noticed it. But she's becoming very, very self-aware. I have some pretty loose notes here about, like, we finally get a lot of the people in his inner circle named.
Yes. I have some of that
Cassian,
as well.
Azriel, Amren. I love this. So Amren is second in command to Rhys.
Mm-hmm.
And Mor is third in command.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love and appreciate that Feyre immediately takes notice that Rhys puts the women over the men in the ranking, in command. And it's just a really interesting comparison to Tamlin, who literally won't let women do a fucking goddamn thing.
Well, unless they're Iantha, I guess. Old Ian.
Old Ian.
Yeah, he says, yes, more is my third. Only a fool would think my Illyrian warriors were the apex predators in our circle. It's like subtly calling her a fool.
But then we also learn a little bit about Amren.
Yes, and more by extension too. He tells her, "You'll see what I mean when you meet Amren. She looks high fae, but something different prowls beneath her skin. She might be older than this city, so 5,000 years at least, but she's vain and likes to hoard her baubles and belongings like a fire drake in a cave. So be on your guard. You both have tempers when provoked, and I don't want you to have any surprises tonight." Just, does he really think Feyre is gonna like try and steal some shit from Amren? Like, I just think this is so funny.
I mean, I think he thinks that she might pop off.
Maybe
because she's obviously feeling some type of way.
Yeah, no, that's true. Feyre snaps back with, "So if we get into a brawl and I rip off her necklace, she'll roast and eat me." And Rhys says, "No, Amren would do far, far worse things than that. The last time Amren and Mor got into it, they left my favorite mountain retreat in cinders."
I love that Mor
yes
got into it with Amren about something.
Love that. I want to see that fight. I don't know what they were fighting about, but it sounds rad as hell. And then he drops this little nugget on us.
Dude, the flex?
Yeah, the flex of all time.
Like, hey, check out this girth, by the way.
I love that he check out this girth. I love that he starts this sentence with, for what it's worth.
For what it's worth.
For what it's worth. Just gonna throw this out there. Just gonna lob this one in.
What a fucking guy. What a Rizzler, am I right?
What a fucking Rizzler. I'm the most powerful High Lord in Prythian's history. Not I'm currently the most powerful High Lord. I'm the most powerful High Lord ever, bitch. And merely interrupting Amren is something I've only done once in the past century. I like that he narrows it down to once in the past century. Yeah. So basically saying I'm the most powerful High Lord, but possibly not the most powerful person in Prythian history?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Could be.
Who knows?
Could be. Which I think is, like, if the idea here is that, like, he knows his strengths and, like, they each play a strength and in their own way they could be more powerful. Kind of like it's not about power levels, like kind of the way that you talk about One Piece. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it's not about like, oh, I'm the strongest, but like the thing that they are good at can really just like wreck some
counters,
shit. And maybe I can't deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that dynamic.
Yeah, I do too.
And I also really like that it seems like he has a ton of like fun with his group,
yes,
and also
definitely. We see that a
but
lot.
like also respects the shit out of them.
Yeah. Feyre thinks to herself, in the countless millennia that existed here in Prythian, I love this description of him. Rhys, with his smirking and sarcasm and bedroom eyes, and Amren was worse and older than 5,000 years. Yeah. When describing Rhys, smirking, sarcasm, and bedroom eyes, definitely those are the three main things about
and
that
so
guy.
it begins.
And so it fucking begins. She briefly thinks to herself that it'd be maybe a mercy if it ended for her, and Rhys gets so pissed at this.
Well, hold on. The reason that this even comes up, I really like this. Like, just the self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
She's thinking about like this dinner that they're about to go to, and how she's gonna have to sit with all these like high fae and Illyrians and Ilarian, excuse me. And she's like, I feel like I should be afraid of this interaction. Like, I should be freaking out right now.
Right.
And she's waiting for that feeling to wash over her, and she realizes, like, I don't feel anything right now. Which is just such a clear indication of, like, depression,
Her mental
and
state. Yeah.
It's so fucked. And then she has that thought. So I didn't mean to cut you off. I just I really like that.
I'm glad you pointed that out. Yeah, he tells her never to think that.
Hold on.
What? Go ahead.
Scott, hold on, because he hears what she thinks. And I think this is where it started for me, Scott, where I'm like, I think I might be a little in love with the idea of Rhysand here.
What do you mean?
Because she thinks this, and this is the sentence verbatim. A broad hand gripped my face, gently enough not to hurt, but hard enough to make me look at him.
This is what gets you?
Don't you ever think that? Not for one damned moment.
You want that broad hand on your face?
I was like, God damn. This sounds like, this is just like, that would get my shit going.
Did you just cast a spell on me, dude?
Yeah, dude. Literally.
Yeah. No, for sure. Like, listen, like I said, Rhys's stock, it just keeps going up and up and up. She accidentally, although I will say, specifically, it falls here for me. Listen, if it wasn't so high already, this would crater his stock. And I'll tell you what happens. She slips into his mind accidentally, like she did with Lucian. And this is where kind of you mentioned she sees through his eyes and how thin and terrible and fucked up she looks. And he asks her, like, has this happened before? And she tells him that, yes, she accidentally did it to Lucian, too. And Rhys says,
oh, I know. Okay.
Lucian, a short laugh. What a miserable place to be. Rhys, you better back the fuck up, brother. You better watch your goddamn tone.
You better fucking watch your goddamn mouth,
You better
boy.
fucking watch yourself, boy, about my boy Lucian, all right?
I'm gonna get you.
You go, oh, that's not okay. Not okay. Rhys, big stock loss for me right there. Do not hate on Lucian. You don't know him.
So are you selling while you're still high? Or
Yeah,
are
no,
you
no.
No, you gotta hold, dude.
I'm absolutely holding.
Yeah, dude.
Because eventually,
I think Rhys is holding too. If you know what I'm saying.
Because eventually, Lucian has been nothing but great, even as Tamlin has, cratered into being an absolute dickwad asshole. So eventually, Lucian is gonna join the good team, that just has to happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He won't go down with the sinking Tamlin ship. I have to hope.
Surely not.
Surely not. Yeah. What happens next?
So he thinks that maybe his own shield.
Oh yeah, this is fascinating.
Mistook her for him.
Yeah.
Since he was the one that gave her that power.
Right.
Which I think is interesting because, it was we learned a little bit more about this later, but when I read this for the first time, it made it seem like the shield was sentient, or this power almost had a mind of its own in a way, or
it could be. I think it just kind of means it views it as almost like a white blood cell type thing. It's it recognizes this as a part of your body.
A fingerprint scanner.
Thank you for just destroying my analogy of blood cells being
way better,
interrupting me. A fingerprint scanner, though?
like a retina scanner?
No, like how a white blood cell knows not to attack your body. It recognizes viruses and shit and attacks them. That's how.
Dude, that's way smarter than what I said.
Exactly.
I should have not interrupted you.
Yes, thank you. Exactly.
That's
no
a great
shit
comparison, actually.
There's a great line here I have specifically singled out. I don't know. Oh, no, I do know what this is about. Feyre just has the thought, I debated spitting on his boots. I love that that's her go-to, just I'm pissed at you. I'm thinking, I'm not doing it, but I'm thinking about spitting on your boots. She says, take your power back. I don't want it. And he tells her it doesn't work that way. The power is bound to your life.
Door don't go back that way.
Door don't go back that way. The only way to get it back would be to kill you. And since I like your company, I'll pass on the offer. This fucking guy, he's so slick. Oh, and then he's basically like, hey, for reals though, you need to keep shit on lock. Like, you've seen Valeris now. Can't be letting those shields slip.
So I'm gonna need you to focus up.
I'm gonna need you to focus up for reals. Then we learned about the Daemati?
Daemati, I think.
Daemati? Sure, that sounds better than what I said.
Is how I think that's how it's pronounced in the audiobook. Yeah, so they both technically they fall into this classification of Daemati, which is people that can, the way that he describes it is like walk into other people's minds.
Right. As if they're just walking into a room.
Right. And he goes on to explain, if you were to ever encounter a Daemati without your shields up, they could essentially, I'm paraphrasing here, like they could enslave you, control you, take whatever information they want. Like you will be at their very whim.
Right.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Cool to get, I guess, a name, and that they're also the world building that other people can do this.
He says we're rare. He brings up the idea the trait appears as the mother wills it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time they have mentioned like a mother figure. It has always been like the cauldron.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. That's a good catch. I didn't notice that.
So I don't know what, because it's capitalized mother and everything. I don't know what that is about, if that is some deity, goddess, what have you, higher being. But he does say, there are enough of us scattered throughout the world that many, mostly those in positions of influence, extensively trained against our skill set. So rare, but there are a decent number of them, the Daemati or whatever.
Yeah.
Still out there. And then, okay, so she's still going through it. Some part of me whispered that I could survive, that if I could survive Amarantha, I could survive leaving Tamlin, I could survive transitioning into this new strange body, but the empty cold hole in my chest, I wasn't sure I could survive that.
She even says, even in the years when she'd been one bad week away from starvation,
right,
that part of her had always been full of color and light. Maybe becoming a fairy had broken it. Amarantha had broken it. Or maybe I had broken it when I shoved that dagger into the hearts of two innocent fairies and their blood warmed my hands.
Damn.
Yeah, man.
That's some dark
SJM,
shit.
8, dude.
Just quit.
This chapter, her writing, other than gobbled up the scenery. Or
you loved that part.
8, eating.
So the next part I have is a note about flying up to the House of the Wind.
Nourishing thyself.
Did you have anything before that?
No.
She says that the wind might rip her dress off as they fly up, and he just smiles at her, this cheeky bastard. So this is where
Rhys is so hot, bro. Dude, Rhys is like, hey, let me fly you up. And she's like, nah. And he's like, come on, I don't want to climb up 1,000 steps.
Yeah, true.
And he like looks at her and he grins at her and he's like, I promise not to drop you.
Yeah. This dude is the Rizzler, like for real.
Bro.
He is the main Rizzler. Zach,
so
your draws are just soaked whenever we talk about Rhys, by the way, here tonight.
Honestly, dude, like I'm sitting in a puddle of my own making.
We find out a little bit. We find out a little bit about his parents here briefly, because he's talking about how much he loves flying. He says, my father never knew, and my mother, she was Illyrian. Some nights when she caught me right as I leaped out the window, she'd scold me and then jump out herself to fly with me until dawn. She sounds lovely, Feyre says. She was. And those two words told me enough about his past that I didn't pry. I'm so glad we got more about his parents here in these sections because I was super curious
even
about them.
like even the little bit that we get here, and then obviously we get more in a little bit. Like, I was like, man, again, SJM, dude. Like, she did a really good job. Like, she didn't even have to go into a lot, and I was like, ooh, I feel this.
Yeah.
Like, I feel this interaction. And then she explained more next chapter, and I was like, God damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
There's a lot next chapter. Before we get to that, each of them, they get up to the House of the Wind, and Rhys is like, hey, sharing is caring, you know? I'm going to share 3 things. It was 3, right? 3 things with you, and then you reciprocate. You hit me back. And I had to take these verbatim because they're both very good for both of them.
I did the same thing. Yeah. I have all of these verbatim.
Okay, whose do you want to read? You want to read Rhys or Feyre?
I want to read Feyre's.
Okay, I'll do Rhys here then.
A lot.
So he tells her, I'm thinking that I spent 50 years locked under the mountain, and I'd sometimes let myself dream of this place, but I never expected to see it again. I'm thinking that I wish I had been the one who slaughtered her. I'm thinking that if war comes, it might be a long while yet before I get to have a night like this. So
yes.
A lot to unpack there. Maybe I'm misremembering. Because when he talks about, I'm thinking wish I'd been the one who slaughtered her. Was it not part of their deal with Amarantha, with the riddle? Was it only Tamlin who got his power back, not all of them?
No, the idea was, it wasn't even really a deal. It was, he wanted, no. Yes, you're right.
Because otherwise I'm like, well, if you're the most powerful, because there was he talked in the first book about like part of why he was riling up Tamlin so much was so that Tamlin could destroy Amarantha.
Yes.
When their powers were freed. And I always thought it was like all their power was going to be free, but maybe I'm misremembering. Maybe it was just specifically Tamlin's power would go back to him. Because otherwise, why wouldn't he just do it himself?
Well, because the idea was like if Feyre was able to either like complete the tasks or like break, because Feyre had to break Tamlin's bond, and that was freeing him, specifically him, from the curse.
So it was only him.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I was misremembering then. So yeah. He loves this place, he loves his people, and this is kind of just, again, a precursor to what we find out more, everything that he did to protect it, and he wants to enjoy it while he can. Now, what does Feyre say back to him?
So she starts by saying, do you think war will be here that soon? And he said, this sly motherfucker. He said, this was a no questions asked invitation. I told you 3 things.
That's great.
Now give me 1.
Uh-huh.
And I love that she starts and she just can't stop.
Yeah, she just kind of goes. Once she gets started, she just goes.
So she starts with, I'm thinking that I must have been a fool in love to allow myself to be shown so little of the Spring Court. I'm thinking there's a great deal of that territory I was never allowed to see or hear about, and maybe I would have lived in ignorance forever like some pet.
Oof.
Fucked, man.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, and then she says, the words became choked. I shook my head as if I could clear the remaining ones away, but I still spoke them. That I was a lonely, hopeless person, and I might have fallen in love with the first thing that showed me a hint of kindness and safety.
Damn.
Fuck.
God damn.
And I'm thinking maybe he knew that.
Oof.
Maybe not actively, but maybe he wanted to be that person for someone. And maybe that worked for who I was before. maybe it doesn't work for who or what I am now.
Goddamn.
And just I love that she starts off with like something deep, which is important, but it's just like she's finally getting the chance to have an honest conversation with somebody who is listening and cares, and it just starts to pour out.
Yeah.
And she reaches this like really like heart-wrenching but beautiful like point of self-realization, I think, through this. It's just great.
You mentioned the self-realization earlier, and this, I think, is, Exhibit A, the prime example of where, it's interesting how she calls out there at the end, maybe that worked for who I was before, maybe it doesn't work for what I am now. Like, how much, she feels like, obviously the stuff that happened under the mountain has changed her fundamentally as a person, not only just, obviously physically with the Fae body, but like she's very different, and she's realizing that like, yeah, maybe that safety and security would have been all I needed, the old me needed, but no, that doesn't work for me now, and I won't go back to that. And that's just really strong, like, like you said, that introspection is just so good.
Yes.
And
it's conversations like this that like I think they make great scenes. They really give you a peek into like what people are feeling and thinking and how they're growing.
Right.
And it's like if characters don't grow and they stay stagnant, a story doesn't continue to be good. And like it's moments like this that give us that progression in their story. So
for sure,
big fan of this. Yeah. So that's the end of chapter 15. Unless you had something else.
No, that was it. Chapter 16 is a bit of a beast. Very lore.
Bit of a beast.
Bit of a beast. A lot of lore and world building heavy. There was so much to summarize that I kind of just eventually gave up and started copying and pasting a bunch of shit. So I'll try and kind of summarize on the fly here, but I'm sure there's stuff we will miss. Apologies, but there's just a lot here. But first we meet actually officially these new characters, Zachy boy.
Yes.
Cassian and Azriel.
You keep weirding me out by saying Cassian.
Cassian? How do you say it? Cassian?
What that? I mean, I
Cashew?
I'm saying yeah. I'm saying Cassian because that's how they say it in the audiobook. Which doesn't always mean it's correct, but
hey, Azriel is definitely like a demon devil name. Is Cassian or Amren? Morrigan is like a very famous witch, I think, or something in like
interesting. I don't
mythology.
know.
I don't know. I know for sure Azriel is a name I've seen other places. I didn't look up anything about these though.
It's a boy's name of Latin and Irish origin. It translates to son of Cassius.
Cool.
And refers to one of the oldest families in Rome.
All right, whatever. I didn't know if you knew anything already.
Nope.
So Cassian, is that better? Was that better for you?
Yes.
Cassian leads Rhys's armies, and Azriel is the spy master. And Scott is happy because Morrigan is here. Hooray!
Yeah.
Azriel
Is
definitely
that Moore's
has
music I hear. That's what I wrote.
Wait, hold on. Fuck. No, Morrigan is here. I can't fucking find it.
Wait. Let's just take your time, Scott.
And his name is John C.
So
I'm glad you took your time through that one.
Yeah, that was so worth it. Azriel definitely has the hots for Morgan.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Which, I mean, fair. Who wouldn't?
Get in line, bud.
True. Yeah, Azrael has to get behind me for sure. I called dibs. I called dibsies. Amren comes in, and Feyre is very intimidated by her. She's like short, but she's got a very quiet power behind her about her, and she's got weird eyes or something like that as well.
My note here is I get the idea that Amren is super badass.
Yeah, I mean that seems pretty apparent. Amren can absolutely get after it. And she tells Feyre, so there are two of us now. We who were born something else and found ourselves trapped in new, strange bodies. And
there is a third.
Yeah, I'm getting to that. Feyre says, I decided I really didn't want to know what she'd been before. Feyre decides a lot that she doesn't want to know more about Amren, because later the whole thing that Amren doesn't eat this kind of food comes up, and Feyre's like, I decided I did not want to know what her ass eats. Like, not a chance.
Dude. It's like how Chaz decides opinions on movies before he watches them.
Yes, it's exactly like that. What was with the unnecessary shot at Chaz?
Dude, we haven't given Chaz a stray on the podcast.
It's good to see you, buddy.
That's what I think when I said Chaz mentioned.
It's good to see you, buddy.
Love you, Chaz. And hold on, where was I? Born something else, found ourselves in new bodies. Though there is a third. I don't think you've heard from Miriam in centuries. Interesting. Now she's speaking to Rhys. Miriam, Rhysand says, and Dracon, who the fuck is Dracon? That's Drake's brother. Are doing well as far as I've heard.
That's Drogon's brother, dude.
It's the bastard child of Drake and Drogon. And what exactly is interesting? Amren says, only once before was a human made into an immortal. Interesting that should happen again right as all the ancient players have returned.
All the ancient players.
Dude, what the fuck is Amren on about? But Miriam was gifted long life, not a new body. So is this is still a human that just has long life? And you, girl, this is still Amren talking to Feyre. She doesn't actually finish that thought. She just says, and you, girl, and then sniffs her, and Amren looks surprised. And Rhys is just like, okay, cool. Feyre just says she was tired of being assessed and evaluated. Oh no, Amren does finish this thought. Your very blood, your veins, your bones were made. Very importantly, I feel like made is capitalized. And that happens several times in here. Made is a proper noun, apparently.
Wait, really? Oh,
yes.
Man. See, it's little things like that I don't get with the audiobook. Thank you for saying that.
Dumbass over here doing the audiobooks.
Dude, I am telling you, you think I reschedule on you now? If I was physically reading and taking notes, we would record once every other month.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone is thanking us for that. So yes, made is capitalized, and she says a mortal soul in an immortal body. So Feyre still has her mortal heart, in Rhys's words, but kind of probably just means her soul. Yeah.
I liked one thing I wanted to call here that happened like a little bit before this is Amren is gifted, like, I think it's a necklace or something.
Oh, yeah. Something Rhys got in town when they were walking around town.
And Rhys is like, hey, it suits you, Amren. And she's like, everything suits me.
Yeah,
and I'm like, good. I like Amren.
Also, Cassian is like the only person here that does not seem to fear Amren at all. In fact, he just kind of antagonizes her a lot, which I'm like, okay, Cassian, I like that about you. I dig that.
Old cashew ass over here.
Old cashew ass. Also, I guess not the only person. Like Morrigan does also not seem intimidated by Amren, because apparently they've gone at it before. You know, Morrigan knows she can at least hold her own.
Hell yeah.
This is God. this is my note just says Morrigan is so cool. This is her speaking here. I asked Rhys if I could take you to dinner, just the two of us, and he said you wouldn't want to. But honestly, would you rather spend time with those two ancient boars or me? And I'm like, true, Morrigan, true.
Yes.
And Rhys is like, hey, bitch, you're the same age as me. She calls them ancient boars, and he's like, we're the same age, which is really great. You seem to forget. And Morrigan just cuts his ass off, and she says, everyone wants to talk. Can't we eat, and then talk? And I'm like, God damn it. I love this girl. She's the best.
Morrigan is it, man.
Morrigan is it. This is Feyre thinking, an interesting balance between Rhys's terrifying second and his disarmingly chipper third. If Mor's rank was indeed higher than that of the two warriors at this table, then there had to be some other reason beyond that irreverent charm, some power to allow her to get into the fight with Amren that Rhys had mentioned and walk away from it. So yeah, Feyre is like, not only is she cool as fuck, like, she's obviously a total
fucking
badass. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Is this where they talk about like a siphon?
Yes, this is.
Okay, I need your help here, because like I fell apart listening to this. I was like, I'm gonna hope that Scott really understood this.
So much happening here. I had to reread sections of this several times. That's why I said I kind of gave up summarizing it. Okay, so what I have here, my understanding is that we learn that there are these siphon stones that both Azriel and Cassian have, like, on the back of their gauntlets or whatever. They help them use magic more precisely. I think Rhys compares it to, like, throwing a bucket of paint versus using a brush. In regards to using magic. That's kind of all I had about siphons.
Oh, okay. I felt like it went on a lot.
Well,
talking about siphons. So
yeah, it was kind of wordy. There's a bit later we come to find out the siphons, like, they probably shouldn't have them. They're not usually given to bastards, but like they're just they can get after it. Like they're like the two most powerful Illyrians in history or whatever.
Okay.
So like, yeah, we kind of were begrudgingly given these siphons because we fuck.
Because we fuck.
Because we fuck, bro.
I mean, Cassian definitely seems like he fucks.
Well, no, hold on. There was a bit, I did not take a note of it. I can't remember who said it, but Cassian said something like, I don't bite unless you ask me to. And someone said, like, yeah, from what I hear, no one has ever taken you up on that offer. And Feyre thinks to herself, that's crazy because he's so hot. So, I don't know. Anyway.
Hell yeah, Cassian.
Feyre, this is where Feyre calls Cassian a lord.
Lord.
And he literally spews his wine on poor Mor because he's laughing so hard. And I think I was a little confused about this as well, but I'm pretty sure she uses magic to transfer the wine stains from her clothes to his clothes.
To his.
Which is just so petty. I love it. Not just cleans up the wine stains. Now I'm going to put it on you. That's so amazing.
Morrigan fucking rules.
Yes, she does. So this is, I don't know why specifically, but this is what surprised me, I think, the most in this section.
Okay.
Illyrians are not high fae. They're not lesser fairies either. They're just Illyrian. They're not like fairies at all. They don't even have pointy ears. Like Cassian shows off his ears and Feyre's like, oh, rounded, how mine used to be. That's very, like, I just did not expect that. I expected everything to be some variation of, fairy.
Fae. Yeah, it seems like it's just like a different race altogether.
Right.
Like they're just another race in
exactly.
this. Which I hadn't thought about this until we're talking about it. But like that's also kind of cool because like there's an aspect of these books that I just can't shake, and it's on me. It's not because of the writing or anything like that, especially now in book 2, where I just like I keep considering this world like pretty adolescent, like obviously minus the sex scenes and stuff, like, but like
yeah, very adolescent.
I just don't see this as like, oh, like this is like fantasy, like
yeah,
you know,
fantasy
and
as fantasy.
yeah, and I think that this is like that's on me being I think ignorant to that, like
Yeah.
because
Well,
like,
I think
it
she's
has
still
so many
building it.
aspects of it. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. She is still building, but
Like, I think
that's
to
surprising.
this point, especially like if we just are taking the first book, I think you'd be spot on. I feel like yes,
Okay,
it was
yeah,
pretty
sure.
limited and adolescent, but now she's building on it, and yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff.
There's different races now.
More races than I thought for sure. Only Morrigan is pure-blooded and titled because, again, even Rhys is half Fey or half Illyrian, excuse me, and Amren is who God knows what the fuck she is. Yeah, Rhys says, I'm half Illyrian, as good as a bastard, where the thoroughbred high Fey are concerned. So yeah, he says, we're just Illyrians, considered expendable aerial cavalry for the Night Court at the best of times, mindless soldier grunts at the worst. And Azriel says, which is most of the time. Okay, this is where we get some info about...
This is where we learn about the courts, right?
Yes. Well, maybe. More about what Rhys had done, I think.
Oh, right. Okay, yes.
So he had not expected to see them again when he was dragged under the mountain. But somehow he had kept them safe. And it's very obvious and apparent that the four people at this table, like, they feel so guilty about this. The fact that he'd done, what Rhys sacrificed basically to keep them all safe. Even Amren, which is interesting.
It's such a cool dynamic, dude. Like, yeah. I just the dynamic of this group has everything that I like.
Yeah.
Like, their banter's really good. They seem hot as fuck. They seem cool, funny, but they also seem like badasses. Like they check every box. And then you have a story like this where like they just like genuinely are just so like compassionate and loyal to their leader because of his like self-sacrifice and commitment to them. It's so good.
No, you're 100% right. And the other thing I'll add on to that is that there's also still so much more we don't know. Like, we don't know. We get a decent backstory on the three men, like Rhys, Azriel, and Cassian. But Cashew ass. But very specifically, Morrigan's backstory is kind of only hinted at, and Amren is just like this some ancient unknowable whatever the fuck. So not only is their dynamic great and they're fun, but like there's still intrigue there. There's still more to be uncovered that I'm very excited about.
Absolutely.
Let's see here. I'm trying to again.
So we learned that when Amarantha like captures Rhys, he basically showed her only a portion of his court. Like, he showed her under the mountain.
Right. Okay. This was very confusing, and I'm still not sure I fully understand it.
So yeah, I have an idea of how I'm understanding it. So like, my idea is that both, I'm going to air quote, courts,
right,
are his one court, but they'd separate them to like distinguish like which one is the hidden one and the peaceful one, and which one is the one that like everybody can know about or does know about.
They're also like geographically separated
in different places. Yes.
Because so he brings up the idea that when he became High Lord, he was like, hey, these four are my inner circle High Council, and you can either deal with it or get the fuck out. Like the previous council or whatever. I can't remember how they refer to it as.
Right.
But he basically says all of them, the previous High Council, basically fall into three categories. One, they just joined Amarantha because they hated Rhys. Two, they hated Rhys and like tried to rise up against him, and he fucked them. And 3, they still hated Rhys, but they accepted his rule, and he kind of just gave them the under the mountain area to be like, do whatever the fuck you want there. I don't care. That's all you. But just don't be here and bugging me type of thing. So that's when Amarantha came, that's what he showed her as like, this is my realm. Is that how you understand it as well?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And so the idea here of the nightmare court and the dream court, it's not 2 new courts. They're just like almost like the 2 factions that make up the night court. Is kind of my understanding of it.
So that's kind of how I understood it as well, because I was like, oh shit, we're getting new courts. My Dawn court is a coming, but then I was like, no, I think these are more figurative courts than they are actual literal courts. Like you said, kind of subsections of the night court.
Yes. And then hold on, wait, where is it that I'm trying to
skim through here. So, okay.
We did skip.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to call out, Feyre is, I think, finally coming to terms with the fact that perhaps, not only for the fact that Rhys had endured Amarantha while they had been here, perhaps it was also for those left outside the city too. Perhaps picking one city, one place to shield was better than nothing. Perhaps it was a comforting thing to have a spot in Prythian that remained untouched. So she's finally kind of coming to terms with what she was angry about before, with like, hey, why didn't you protect the rest of the world? Or why didn't these people help the rest of the world while Amarantha was doing her shit?
Right.
And Morrigan specifically tells her there's not one person in this city who is unaware of what went on outside these borders or of the cost.
More several times during this just like steals the fucking show.
We'll get to the stealing of the show though. That has yet to come.
But one thing I wanted to say beforehand, but before even where we're at right now, is they basically like ask, I love this. They asked Feyre, like tell us about you.
Oh, well, that's way later, dude.
Wait, why do I have this beforehand? Like because is that not where
No, we get the whole Illyrian and the others' backstory before we get to that.
Okay, my bad. I guess I have some of this out of order. Okay, go ahead.
So this is, we get basically because I think Feyre asks, like, how did you guys meet?
Yes.
And we learn about the Illyrians. They're pretty fucked up, very warlike, barbaric people. We find out Azriel is a shadow singer. They're basically great at stealth and subterfuge. And we get the story.
I love the fantasy trope of like taking like a mysterious word and then putting like a verb.
Yes.
Like you're the shadow singer, you're the oath bringer,
you're the darkness keeper.
Yes.
Yeah. No,
I love that shit.
Spot on. That is good stuff. So we get the story of Rhys's parents is kind of how this starts. Dude, the Illyrians are fucked. They clip the wings of their women when they come of age just to be basically breeders.
Fuck the patriarchy, man.
Seriously. fuck that. Rhys's mother, however, loved to fly, and she did everything she could to keep herself from maturing. Rhys said she like starved herself and was like taking like poisonous herbs and shit. But eventually at 18, she bled. And they caught her and they were about to cripple her, like clip her wings, when Rhys's father, minnowed his way in there. And
he's a fishing.
He's gone fishing, and he takes one look at her and, quote, the mating bond between them clicked into place. So you are the imprinting expert here, Zach. Is this how it goes down in Twilight? It's like a love it for, like, how did you interpret this?
I mean, yeah, like, well, so they knew each other already, right?
No. Like
this is their
Rhys's
first
father
time.
and mother?
Okay, so then yes.
The first
Okay,
time
so then So yeah, that's exactly how it is. Like the first time that you see your soulmate, there's another common term in like fantasy books.
Mating bond. I think that's what. they call
No,
it
there's
here.
a fated mate.
Oh,
Or
okay,
like,
sure.
Yeah, like the
Star-crossed lovers.
exactly. Like when the first time that you set your eyes on that person, like there's something like primal that switches in you that is like, this is my person.
So, because it does specifically say my mother looked at him and the bond fell into place for her. So it's like a mutual thing right away.
And it's not always mutual, by the way.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, in Twilight.
In Twilight. Okay, yeah. I was like, how do you know? Then I realized your ass is talking about Twilight again. My father took her back to the night court that evening and made her his bride. She loved her people and missed them, but never forgot what they had tried to do to her and what they did to the females among them. Definitely. She tried for decades to get my father to ban it, but the war was coming and he wouldn't risk isolating the Illyrians when he needed them to lead his armies and to die for him. This is where Morrigan cuts in and says, "A real prize, your father." And Rhys is like, "At least he liked you." So, and then this is what I found interesting, because it's like, and I guess Tamlin did kind of mention this in the first book. It's like they're bond mates, but also they like were terrible together. Rhys says, my father and mother, despite being mates, were wrong for each other. My father was cold and calculating and could be vicious, as he had been trained to be since birth. My mother was soft and fiery and beloved by everyone she met. She hated him after a time, but never stopped being grateful that he had saved her wings, that he allowed her to fly whenever and wherever she wished. So when I was born and could summon the wings as I pleased, she wanted me to know her people's culture. So yeah, is this also how it is in Twilight, where it's like, yeah, they're bond mates, but also like this relationship is just fucked and not going to work?
I mean, I could, okay, so I mean, it's been forever since I read the Twilight books, and obviously if you're listening, you're welcome to correct me here, but if I'm not mistaken, like the fated mate idea, the whole imprinting thing, it's not inherently like a love, like a romantic love bond. It is simply like I physically cannot live without you being okay and you being in my life.
Interesting. Okay.
And so in the case of like Tam's parents, they were perfect for each other. They were in love. Like he
did say that, didn't he?
And they happened to be mates. Like they actually got to fall in love with each other. So the mate thing was able to be satisfied, like just because they loved each other. They were together forever, right? Whereas in this situation, it's like I physically cannot live without you. This is how I'm interpreting it. I physically cannot live without you. But I'm not in love with you. Like, so we have to like coexist to satisfy this like primal like connection, this soul connection that we have.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But we're just not there on a romantic level anymore.
I feel like in every other thing where I've encountered, you know, the next closest thing to this, like soulmates, love at first sight, star-crossed lovers, whatever you want to call it, it's always been, no, they're that way because they are perfect for each other. Like that. I don't think I've ever read or experienced any fiction where it's like, no, you can be like quote unquote soulmates or bondmates or whatever you want to call it, but also just like not compatible at all.
So I want to give you the example of how it happens in Twilight, but I also don't want to spoil it for you because you're definitely going to watch or read those books.
Okay, yeah. Well, don't spoil it because we'll get there eventually, I'm sure. So yeah, I don't know how to like feel about this or react to this, because I think this is I mean, it's interesting at the very least. It just seems strange. It's like, what power is at work? Is it like my new way I'm feeling about it is like, is this like almost a prophecy thing where it's like they had to get together and have Rhys because he is some kind of fulfillment of prophecy, where it's like they are not good for each other relationship wise, but through their union, Rhys is going to be someone very important.
I think it could, no, I mean, that's an interesting thought, but that's definitely not how I interpret it.
Thank you for letting me down easy on that one.
I think that I think really the best way to do this is just like simplify it. Like picture like a best friend who like has fallen in love with their best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe for at one point in time it's romantic, maybe for mutually for both of them, but they quickly realize like we're just not right to be together in a romantic relationship. But like I love you at my core. We're just not made for each other in that way. Sure. I can't go on living my life without you. I need you in my life. But we're not on that level. On a romantic level anyway.
Nah.
So I don't know. Like I really want to give the Twilight example, but I can't do that. I can't do that because it's such a meme that you don't know those books, and I can't tell you because I have faith. Our listeners and watchers have faith that you will eventually do that. So
yeah. So anyway,
all right. Let's talk about this more shit. Hurry up.
Yeah. Listen, there's so fucking much in this goddamn chapter. Okay, so Rhys's mother took him to an Illyrian war camp when he was 8 to be trained, and also to keep him out of his father's clutches, so to speak. That's where he met Cashew Milk and Asriel. Who else do I call Milk? Oh, Almond Milk.
Almond Milk.
Like, wait, I have someone else I call Milk.
Cashew Milk and
Almond Milk. I just got
milk
on the brain, bro.
Just got milk on the brain. Dude.
I can't find it. Yeah, give me the thumbs up. I can't find it.
You know damn well what I mean.
Oh. About milk on the brain. They hated each other at first, but Rhys kind of realized Cassian had nothing because he was a bastard and invited him into his home with his mother. Very sweet. Again, Rhys, even at 8 years old, his stock is rising. So then a new bastard came into the camp, an untrained shadow singer. Not to mention he couldn't even fly thanks to Morrigan cuts him off, says stay on track, Cassian. This is like definitely some PTSD moment from Asriel because he's like kind of fucked up by this. Also, Asriel's got like super scarred hands.
Hands, yes.
So Feyre notices
it makes Feyre be like, what the fuck could have done that? Right. That like his like healing capabilities couldn't even like repair them correctly.
Exactly.
Because they are fucked.
Right. Exactly. And also, yeah, we learn here he cannot fly. Feyre notices more, definitely acknowledges that she's like showing concern for him. So it's right. Obviously a very touchy subject. It seemed like she was like just kind of casually keeping Cassian on track, but it seems more like, no, that was intentional. She was like,
right.
Don't bring up this very sensitive, painful topic for Asriel. So yes, so they became friends. What just happened? The other males knew we were different, and not because we were two bastards and a half-breed. We were stronger, faster. We can rebuild him. Like the Cauldron knew we'd been set apart and wanted us to find each other. We reached the age of maturity. And all we wanted to do was fuck and fight. And Amren says, "Males are horrible creatures, aren't they?" "Repulsive," said Moore, clicking her tongue. I was like, that's great from these two. I love these two.
Yes.
Rhys's father comes at the start of the war and sees that not only does Rhys's power rival his own, but that also he's best buds with the two most powerful Illyrians in history. So he's like, let me break up this little powwow, and separates them because he was worried that if he put them all in the same unit, they would come attack his ass at the end of the war.
Yeah, I mean, naturally.
Sure. He takes Azrael as like a spy for himself. I think he puts Cassian as just like a foot soldier in some regiment. Rhys is in charge of a different regiment. And some point Rhys was captured, but he cuts Cassian off and tells him that's a story for another time. So what the fuck is going on with that?
Dude, talk about gooning, am I right? Like,
is that how you use that? Oh,
yeah,
edging.
they're just
right.
Yeah, they're
okay.
just edging us,
God
man.
damn it,
Like,
I forgot. So yes, we kind of already mentioned this, but once I became High Lord, I appointed these four to my inner circle and told the rest of my father's old court that if they had a problem with my friends, they could leave. Turns out having a half-breed High Lord was made worse by his appointment of 2 females and 2 Illyrian bastards. So yes, this is where we already talked about this, the Court of Nightmares and the Court of Dreams. Did you have anything else to bring up about that?
No. The court, no, not that stuff. The only like other main note I had is when they ask Feyre.
Okay, hang on. Then there is still one more thing before we get to that I want to call out. Feyre turns to Morrigan and Amren because she just heard their backstory, or Cassian and Azrael's backstory, and she says, "And you." All Amren says is, "Rhys offered to make me his second. No one had ever asked me before, so I said yes. To see what it might be like. I found I enjoyed it." That, nothing else to this point had really made me like Amren, but that did it. I was like, okay, Amren. Okay.
Nah, man, I fuck with Amren.
That's pretty good. I like how she's just so matter of fact. Is like, I thought I'd give it a try.
You know what's so cool too is like, I feel like in fantasy, I think it's like really easy for characters to just kind of be a little similar, like that are in a tight group like this, and they all have such unique,
true,
like staple personalities. Yeah. I'm really, really excited to see like them working together.
That's a good call out. I feel like my favorite groups, you think of like the Fellowship or like the Straw Hats. It's like, yes, each one of them, they get along so well as a group, but individually they're all such, so different unique personalities and so unique. That's a really good call out, Zach. I just am picturing, I love the idea of Amren being, because he compared her to like hoarding baubles like a fire drake earlier. I just love the idea of picturing Amren just like sitting alone in some cave on a mountaintop for thousands of years, and Rhys being the only one brave enough to go up to her and be like, "Hey, you want to work for me? Be my second?" And she's like, "Huh, no one's ever asked me that before." Okay, I'll give it a try. Sure, why not?
Sure.
I just love that idea.
That's hilarious,
and
man.
Then
I think Amren's gonna be super cool throughout this book, man.
Here's what I alluded to before. Moore leaned back in her seat. I was a dreamer born into the court of nightmares. What a fucking line, by the way. Moore, she twirled a curl around her finger, and I wondered if her story might be the worst of all of them, as she said simply, "So I got out." Two very small sentences from Morrigan, and I'm like, well, fucking strap me on, daddy. I gotta know her backstory,
dude.
Now.
That needs to be on a shirt, bro.
I was a dreamer born into the court of nightmares, so I got out. That is a banger.
Yeah.
Okay, so now here you go. Here's your favorite part.
Well, I just knew that you were gonna take all those notes, so I was like, I'll just take this note before this chapter finishes.
Thanks, buddy.
No, the key thing, there's 2 things I wanted to call out here. One, I liked and appreciated that in a chapter that is like very lengthy in character and like character building for all these new people, and can be kind of boggy if you're wanting to like move, which I get.
I felt that a little bit, even though I liked it.
I do still appreciate that like we could easily skip over Feyre's stuff because we know her story, right? As the reader. But I appreciate that Sarah J. Maas made the choice to have one of these new characters ask Feyre about her story. Because I think it shows like the kinship that they have in this relationship, and just like how they are welcoming of who Rhys is bringing around, and they're also, I feel like in a way, like being inclusive and caring.
And they're also not just gonna like go off rumors or hearsay about her too. Like they're just gonna ask her directly, and find out the real story.
Yeah. So I really like that. I thought it was a good showing of the group of them, even though it's done through giving us Feyre's story again. It's more telling of like who they are as a group, and I really like that. So she tells them the story. Hey, I grew up rich until I wasn't. Then I had to provide, had to figure my shit out. I taught myself how to hunt. And I like that Cassian is like, hey, did you teach yourself how to fight? And she's like, no, I didn't. And he's like, hey, I got you, bro.
Yeah. There has definitely been, like I said, we missed some stuff, but there's definitely were several moments in this chapter too, where it's like, she can tell that Cassian like understands more about like having nothing, being poor, almost,
having to fight,
basically. Yes. Like, because he went through that as well. There's definitely like already an established kind of kinship between them as far as like that goes.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is cool.
So he offers to teach her how to fight, and she's very hesitant.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, well, wouldn't that send a bad message?
And to her credit, immediately realizes how stupid that is.
Yes, to her credit, she's like, I'm a fucking dipshit. Fuck Tamlin. Fuck the Spring Court.
And oh yeah, we hadn't even gotten to the Morrigan best part, by the way, yet.
This is the Morrigan. I mean, this is so good.
This is the best part of these chapters, I would say.
Morrigan, if you have the exact quote, you're welcome to take this away from me.
Do.
I have it kind of paraphrased. Okay, then why don't you do that? Because we need to do it justice here. Yes. I really love this.
So there was silence. Then Morrigan said with a soft venom that made me understand the High Lord's Third had received training of her own in that court of nightmares. Let me tell you two things as someone who has perhaps been in your shoes before. Again, that shared bond of anger, of pain throbbed between them all, save for Amren, who was giving me a look dripping with distaste. Damn, Amren. One, Moore said, you have left the Spring Court. I try not to let the full weight of those words sink in. If that does not send a message for good or bad, then your training will not either. Very, very good point. Two, she continued, I once lived in a place where the opinion of others mattered. It suffocated me, nearly broke me. So you'll understand me, Feyre, when I say that I know what you feel, and I know what they tried to do to you, and that with enough courage, you can say to hell with a reputation. Her voice gentled, and the tension between them all faded with it. You do what you love, what you need. And I'm just like, This is it. This is it. Zachary, this was the moment when I thought to myself, I'm like, Zachary, if you try and push back, this is way jumping the gun, but I'm doing it anyway. If you try and push back on Morrigan being number one on who be courting,
no,
I will drive down to Austin right now and just fuck your shit up.
Well, maybe now I have to push back to get your ass down here, but no,
True,
I mean,
actually.
that's where I'm at too,
I was like, holy fuck, that was some hot fire from Morrigan, and this is like, Feyre needs this. She needs someone to say this, and more importantly, as she realizes here,
she needs a woman.
She needs a woman to say these things. She realizes she's never had a female friend before. Like, she's like,
dude, why, can I just say this? Like, why why do I feel this? Like I'm not a woman.
Yeah.
I
Like, I
I
don't know,
have
dude.
male friends, I have women friends, but like reading this and like hearing her like acknowledge like exactly
No,
this,
yeah.
I was like, oh,
I think it's just because it's
like
very well written.
fuck, dude.
I think
felt
that's
so sad
I'm
and
with
bad.
you.
and-
I think it's just the way it's
it's
done.
emotional.
It's very good.
Yeah, dude.
She
it was
says
great.
straight up, Ianthe was definitely old Ian was definitely not her friend. She does give us quick shout to Nesta and Elaine that they had kind of filled that role for the short time when she was home. In between, when she returned home.
Right.
But now she basically looks at Morrigan and hopes that that's what they can be. And like you said, it's a truly moment.
Yeah, dude.
For sure.
To also just add a little bit more that I took away from Morrigan's quote there is we've talked about this a lot with Rhysand, and I think it's just like this group of people seem like they are just honest, good people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we're seeing this again, this theme of giving Feyre agency to be her own person, to make her own decisions, do what she needs, do what she loves.
Yes.
And we've gotten it now from both Rhysand and Morrigan. And it's like, it's just so telling of the quality and the caliber of the people in this group, in this circle. And I love it, dude.
Yeah. We saw it very briefly in one of the earlier chapters where there was some exchange between Rhys and Feyre where Feyre was like, well, I haven't even seen Morrigan this whole time. And Rhys was like, she was just waiting for you to join her or ask for her company. Like, she didn't want to, intrude or like, step on your boundaries.
Yes.
And it was just like, that respect from Morrigan is so good. And just like, God, she's amazing. What next?
The impact of Morrigan's words, I think, weigh very heavy on Feyre because it's shortly after this. She processes through not having any women friends or female friends, thinks about her position there, and ultimately she turns to Rhysand and says, I accept your offer.
Yeah.
And Rhysand says, good, because we start tomorrow.
Jesus.
And I also love that everybody else kind of was like, huh? Like,
Uh-huh.
And she takes notice. She's like, I guess they didn't realize that they were basically being interviewed by
Right.
me.
Yeah.
But I love this group. They just seem to be like, okay, all right. Like,
they roll with it.
Yeah, you're accepted, I guess. And we learned a little bit of info here from Rhysand to end the chapter.
It kind of drops a bomb on us very quickly and abruptly, I might add.
This is how you end a chapter. I mean, it did suck that it was so long to get to this, but also like it was great stuff. I'm really not complaining.
What are you skipping? We are not near the end of the chapter.
I mean, just like the bombshell of like what's happening and like the plan of attack, like that sure. ending. So he explains that the King of Highburn indeed does want to start a war.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants to do it by resurrecting old dumbass named Jurian.
Old Jurian. Old Jurian.
Is it Jurian or Durian? No, it's Jurian,
it's
right?
Jurian.
With like a J?
Durian is a fruit. The fruit that
the
smells.
smelly one.
Yeah, the smell's awful.
Yo, okay, hold on. Amanda
we're going to talk about durians?
We're going to talk about smelly fruits.
Oh, hell yeah.
Amanda and I bought
a juicer?
Papaya.
Oh.
Have you ever bought a fresh papaya?
Yeah.
Yo, those things smell like fucking dick, bro.
They don't smell great. They don't smell as bad as durians, though.
No, well, I mean, I've never smelled durian, but I can imagine. But
papaya has a weird smell. You're not wrong.
I realized what the smell smells like.
What is it?
It's a smelly smell that smells smelly. It smells like vomit. Like it has like a throw up smell to it. I fucking give up, brother.
It's been a long since I smelled them. It has throw up smell? Okay.
Yeah. I didn't love it. I'd never had papaya before.
Like you didn't love the smell of it, or you didn't like eating it either?
I don't think I love the taste of it.
Either,
I mean, I
okay.
guess maybe it wasn't. It could have maybe not been ripe or overripe or whatever, but I don't think I liked it.
I bought a juicer recently, and I've been juicing. So I juiced up some mangoes and just made some mango juice, and that was pretty good.
Mango, goated fruit, it's high up there.
Goated, that's a little strong. Pineapple is the goated fruit.
Yeah.
I also made some
pineapple's
strawberry
pretty
juice. Strawberry juice is kind of weird. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, that asshole King of Hybern is gonna resurrect old Durian, smelly garbage ass. This is again Morrigan. Like, stop. Just stop. You've already fully won me over. Stop making me love you so much. She's just out here throwing shade when Rhys tells them what the plan is here. It says, Mor groaned. Why would the king want to resurrect Jurian? He was so odious. All he liked to do was talk about himself. Odious ass Jurian. Get him, Morrigan. That's fucking great. And this is when Feyre realizes the age of these people hit me like a brick. Despite all they had told me minutes earlier, they had all fought in the war 500 years ago.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. So Amren says word will have reached the King of Hybern about Feyre's capital making, and he knows it's possible for the dead to be remade. Morrigan counters saying
was remade capitalized also?
No, it was not.
Oh, okay, all right.
Morrigan says the High Lords would never agree to do it that way, so he will find a different way to resurrect Jurian. She asks Rhys if the slaughterings and massacres at the temples have had something to do with this, and Rhys is like, yes, they're either looking for something or they already found something. Rhys asks Amren, how does one take an eye and a finger bone and make it into a man again? You and I talked about this at the end of the last book. We definitely knew that the
never
eye disappearing and the Ator. Yep.
And the adder was just never found.
So Rhys asks Amren this, and Amren says, you already know how to find the answer. Go to the prison, talk to the bone carver. I'm like, shit, the prison, the bone carver. What the fuck?
Dude.
Mor and Cassian both say shit. Apparently this is not a pleasant place or a pleasant person to talk to. Perhaps both. Rhys tries to get Amren to do his dirty work. He's like, maybe you would be more effective at talking to her. Or him, the bone carver. And Amren says very, very sternly, she will not set foot in the prison. We find out, I think it's next chapter, that she was once there. That's why. So she says, go yourself or send one of these dogs to do it for you. Azriel volunteers to do it. The prison sentries know me, he says, but then Rhys says no, him and Feyre will go instead because the bone carver won't talk to any of them, but he might talk to Feyre. He just might, because
interesting.
Amren alludes that he might have an interest in someone who was maked. I don't know, something like that.
Mott.
And that is finally the end of goddamn chapter 16. Good chapter.
That was a big
though.
chapter, man.
That was a big chapter.
It was good though.
Oh, big ass chapter.
Oh, smelly ass jury and big ass chapter. Fucking hell, dude.
Oh shit. What happens in chapter 17, Zach?
Yeah,
Thankfully,
so chapter
it's pretty
17, quick. Yeah, this one's gonna be pretty quick here. So she thinks about smelly fruit boy.
Yes, she does.
And then wait, shit, my notes are terrible here. So my next note is she felt him at dinner in their bond. Oh, right. Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Yes, because during this conversation during chapter 16, she notices that she catches a part of, like, she feels a wave of Rhys's like emotions. Like
I think it's when she accepts. I could be wrong. Like accepts his offer. I can't remember,
she can feel his like his joy.
Right.
And so she asks about it, and again, paraphrasing, I mean, he kind of in a way says like the bond is kind of its own like living thing.
Yeah, the bond for sure. You're not wrong.
But he is still learning how it works, and he like honestly, he just doesn't fully know or understand, so he's just kind of going with it.
Do you have this great line from him here?
I do not have a quote.
So he says, it's an open channel between us, shaped by my powers, shaped by what you needed when we made the bargain.
Oh, yes.
And she says, I needed not to be dead when I agreed. I needed you to stop twisting my bone. And he counters back with, you needed not to be alone. And it's like, oh, shit.
Shit, yeah, dude.
Shit. This is where we really get kind of him fully really.
We learned a little bit more about what like the actual lengths he went to keep his people safe.
Right.
And I'll sum it. If you want to deep dive into anything specific, obviously tell me, but to sum it up, when he was taken by Amarantha, he started realizing that he was able to like pick out the people that did know about the Dream Court.
Yeah.
He's able to infiltrate their minds and keep them from talking about it or make them forget, and eventually created an entire web of people that he was able to, for the most part, control in a way. To make sure mind crush, exactly. To keep his people safe. But then he does also go on to say that his commitment to that is what left him so weak that he wasn't actually able to fight back in other aspects.
Well, not only was he doing that, but he used the other scrap of his power, because he does specify that he had more power left than the others when Amarantha stole it. He also used what was left of his power to shield Valeris. Is that what it is?
Valeris.
Shield the entire city from sight and sound.
Yes.
Like he said that even if someone had like flown over it, they would have just seen mountains. So it's like, God damn, what can't this fucker do? Even when he's like fucking chained, like, you know, his power is severely limited and he can still do all that. God damn.
Yeah, man.
I don't think he was blowing smoke when he said he was the most powerful lord in Prithian's history.
Yeah, man.
There is a couple things, great specific quotes I want to say here.
Okay.
Feyre tells him, you let Amarantha and the entire world think you rule and delight in a court of nightmares. It's all a front to keep what matters most safe. Because yes, this makes sense, because what we learned from Lucien and Tamlin in the first book was, like they're like depraved maniacs, basically, in the Night Court. But this is just, that's all a front. It's just what he wants the world to believe. This is one of my favorite lines from Rhys. He says, I love my people and my family. Do not think I wouldn't become a monster to keep them protected. And she says, you already did that under the mountain. And he says, and I suspect I'll have to do it again soon enough. She asks him what was the cost of keeping this place secret and free. You know the cost already. And she thinks to herself, Amarantha's whore. I love, this is like a thing I've seen in other places. Like, I love it when a character is willing to do anything to protect what they love and care about. Like,
yes,
as he says,
the selflessness.
Yes, but like the willingness to become a monster. Like the idea that they will destroy themselves in a, even if it's just like a more of a figurative way than literally destroying themselves, but like becoming whatever they need to be. If it's a terrible person, a monster,
Yes.
it will be worth it because they kept what they needed to safe. Like that's
It is
that's good stuff.
definitely is a trope, but it's a very good one, and when done well, it hits, man.
Yes.
Like those conversations and those moments when like they're in that state of mind really can really move you, I feel like.
Right. For sure. It can be very powerful storytelling. For sure.
So then Feyre has a dream.
Oh, right.
Did I skip anything, by the way, or were you going to try and say something in there before?
I think the end of this is just that she says, it's a shame. The others in Prythian don't know. A shame that you let them think the worst. And he says, as long as the people who matter most know the truth, I don't care about the rest. And that was it.
And again, there's that selflessness, man.
Yeah.
He's just like, the dude knows what his priorities are.
Yes.
And everything else does not matter.
He is aware of where his priorities and what he cares about. And that's all that matters. That's great.
Yeah. So we cut to a dream. Feyre is lying naked on the ground, and Amarantha is standing above her, and she is tracing her body, dragging a knife over her body. And finally, she presses the knife into like just beneath her breasts.
That's called the heart.
What did she say it was? She said it was like,
it's like right above her heart.
On her ribs. I thought it was on her ribs. Okay. She wakes up to Rhysand shaking the shit out of her. Hey, wake the fuck up, dude. This was just a dream. You can tell that he was experiencing that with her.
Yeah, I think
because
so, definitely.
he is visibly shaken as well. And
she's got fire claws.
Yeah, she does. Yes, you're right. She does have fire claws.
But whose court would this powers be? I think that maybe
I fucking knew
the Autumn Court, they say, is probably fire powers, and just like who. I want to know more about where these powers come from.
You know what, dude? I have a really good key that I was making to help organize
share that
this
with me? That'd
yeah,
be
I'll
great.
get it. I'll put it out.
Okay.
Somebody's got to step up and tell the boy how to live.
Thank you for stepping up and teaching me about all the powers. Love you.
Yeah. So I really like that they are both dealing with this trauma of Amarantha together.
Unlike very specifically
with such a good contrast that like they both are dealing with shit. And Tamlin and her were also dealing with shit, but Tamlin was never in a position or a state of willingness to work through it together or experience it together or let her in.
They just both pretended like they didn't exist when they were having their trauma and their PTSD. They were like, no, I'll bear this on my own.
Yes.
And they just pretended, like I said, the other didn't exist. Meanwhile, very contrastingly, he is here and helping her through this. Rhys, I mean.
Yes, absolutely. So the last couple notes here is they end up winnowing off somewhere. It's time to go.
Yep.
So they head
time
out
to go fishing.
And when they diswinnow, they are on an island in the Western Isles.
Yeah, isn't that where Hybern is in the Western Island?
I think it's like an isle of islands that are like between. What's the name of the country?
Hybern.
No, the name of like the main country.
Prythian?
Well, Prythian is Prythian the entire continent, or is Prythian just like where the fairy live? Do we have a name of the
you got
continent?
me there, mate. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't actually know if we've gotten that.
Books
we
in the other
have.
room. I can't pull up the map. Actually,
anyway. So they're on an island, and it's basically got a giant, like rocky mountain on it that holds a prison inside and underneath the mountain. Why is everything underneath a mountain in this fucking story?
True. It just says the big main, I'm looking at the map, Prythian, and at the bottom, Mortal Lands. That's all the one big land mass.
Okay, that's right. You know what, dude? I was picturing it reversed for some reason. I was picturing Prythian smaller. So I was like, well, what's the name of the big part up above? But the majority of it is Prythian.
Correct.
Like, it is Prythian, just a little section is for the humans.
And then yes, correct. And in the big-ass Hybern Island, I am not seeing any other islands. So I don't know where the fuck they are right now.
Fucking liars, man.
Fucking liars.
So they're preparing to walk in. Now there are apparently like enchantments or wards or protections on this prison that does not allow people to winnow into it, which would make sense.
Fly,
it's a prison.
He says.
Yeah, or fly, correct. Which makes sense. It's a prison.
Yeah.
So he's like, we got to go in the old-fashioned way. We have to walk in straight through the front doors, and they're about to step forward, and Feyre begins having a full meltdown, a full panic attack.
Mm-hmm.
Her trauma is showing its ugly head here, and she just not letting her move forward.
We talked about it last time, but she, like, the claustrophobia, like the idea of going under another mountain is just like way too much for her.
It is, yes. He does try to gently encourage her until she can't, and she just says please. And it's such a short interaction, but her just saying please, and the fact that the way it's described that he doesn't even say a word.
Yeah.
He just
takes her away
and takes her back.
Yeah.
And in all caps, I say, dude, am I actually falling in love with Rhysand? This guy just
falling. You have fallen, my guy.
This guy is just protecting,
it
dude.
Is
He's
just over. It's so Jover for you.
It's Jover,
That's
dude.
Done did. This is you.
Why is it so long?
Because I love the ones that are long.
That's so fun. Yeah, you do. And that's the end, guys. That's the end of chapter 17. It's a short and sweet one.
Couple quick things I want to call out here.
Okay.
He says the prison has the most foulest, most dangerous creatures and criminal you can imagine.
Impel down. Okay.
Impel down 100%. He says it was here before the High Lords existed, before Prythian was Prythian. Some of the inmates remember those days. Some old asses in there. Remember, this was also pretty interesting. Remember a time when it was Mor's family, not mine, that ruled the North. So she's a Stark, for sure.
Hell yeah.
And then he asks her, why won't Amren go in here? Because she was once a prisoner. And Feyre says, not in that body, I take it. And he smiles and says, no, not at all. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on with Amren?
I'm interested, man.
So, yeah. Good stuff.
I'm interested.
Good stuff.
Scott, look, man, I had a lot of fun with this batch of chapters. I thought this was like the most quality writing batch of chapters that we've experienced in this series so far.
Maybe. I would just like to give a big shout out to Dom, honestly, for giving us this reading guide, because if we had tried to do 8 chapters, I think, like we had intended, and it included chapter fucking 16, we would have died. We would have killed ourselves.
Yes.
So
truly.
Shouts to Dom for doing that. I don't know why the fuck we didn't think of that, to have someone do that before.
She asked me the other day, she's like, hey, because she's finished rereading the entire book. Because she's like, I'm just going to reread it so that I can give you the chapters.
She's way past us.
Well, yeah, when I asked her for this, she was like,
when you asked her, that's when she started?
Yeah, she was like, well, let me read a couple chapters to like maybe break it down. And then she's like, you know what? I'm just loving rereading this, so I'm just going to read the whole book and do it for each batch of chapters for you.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, you're the fucking best. Thank you so much.
Hell yeah.
And she's done now, and she's like, hey, I kind of really want to just keep reading. Do you want me to do this for the next book too?
Yes, please.
And I'm like, yes, please do that.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Check it again and let us know.
I will post Dom's reading guide, which is going to be our chapter breakdown in our Discord. So anybody who's interested in following along, or at least knowing kind of like if you want to brush up on any info before we talk about it, join the Discord. You can shoot us an email or a DM on Instagram or any of our socials and ask us for a invite link, and we will invite you to the Discord. We've got a ton of awesome myth keepers, myth creepers, and filthy commons in that place. And they keep it lively. They have good chats, really great insights, and there is a really fun spoiler okay area where y'all can talk about stuff without Scott and I putting our eyes on it to avoid getting spoiled.
I'm there for the memes, honestly.
We would love if you guys were interested in doing that. Scott, I think it's time, buddy.
It's time.
I think we got to do the thing.
We got to do the thing. It's time for Who Be Courtin', where we last left off. Rhys was number 1 yet again. Feyre was number 2 yet again. Morrigan had moved up to 3. Lucien was at 4, and Alice was at 5. I think like there's going to be some big movement this week, Saki boy.
Big movement.
I'm just going to go ahead and delete everyone.
Just go ahead and put Morrigan at 1.
Good.
It's
all right.
Unanimous.
We're agreed. It's 100% gonna be Morrigan at 1. Easiest, freeziest decision of my life. Honestly.
Yeah.
All right. Rhys is moving his ass down and Morrigan is moving up. She was fucking rad, as I knew she would be. Okay. Now the rest of this is gonna be interesting. Lucien was not in this section, except by mention. He's going to be off. Alice was super not in this section. Okay. So we have 4 people of the inner circle. Right, no, 5 total, including Rhys and Feyre. Who, I assume that's who we're going with.
Yeah. I know my list if you want to know my list.
Okay, who is getting left off? That's what I want to know.
It's Azriel, unfortunately.
I think you're probably right, but let me consider for a moment. I
was really hoping you just stayed quiet and went, no, yeah, okay, it's Azriel.
I am that moment when Morrigan stops Cassian from talking about what happened with Azriel really has me intrigued. I think I might put him ahead of Cashew Milk.
Your hesitation tells me what I need to know.
What did Cashew do so that you loved so much?
He had more of a display of personality in this that I really liked.
He has a louder personality.
Okay, and will Azriel get his time for us to learn about the intrigue and get that rich information? Sure, it didn't happen this time though. This wasn't his batch.
All right. I don't think it's as cut as dry as you're making it out to be, but I don't disagree. Okay. So our 5 are going to be Morrigan, Feyre, Rhys, Amren, and Cassian then. Who goes where?
Okay, for me, Morrigan 1, Rhysand 2, Feyre 3, Cassian, Amren.
No way. Amren's cooler than Cassian.
I really liked Cassian.
Obviously. All right, I agree. I agree with the rest of it. Rhys at 2, Feyre at 3. To me, it's Amren at 4.
Okay, I think I know what it is, and if it's interest and for me, I think I just like Cassian's character and personality more. He's fun.
I think,
and
he's
unfortunately,
all right.
I just don't think we've gotten you're gonna hate that I'm saying this, but even with Lucien, I just never felt the jovialness and just kind of carefreeness and while also simultaneously like, yo, I'm a fucking badass. So I don't know. I thought Cassian won it for me. But
go ahead.
But Amren does have way more like book interest. Like, what the fuck is going on with her? She has a very interesting personality. Like, I do genuinely like her personality as well.
Yes.
The positives I'm saying about Cassian is not to say I don't like Amren's personality. Like, and she is definitely more interesting. Like, Cassian seems a little bit more like straightforward.
Yes, that's what it is for me.
Okay,
I feel like
and that's
Cassian's.
fair.
I feel like Cassian's an open book. Like, yeah, he's fun, but we already know. I feel like we know everything there is to know about that dude already.
Okay, well, yeah, it's when you say stuff like that now that's going to be the character at the end of the book. That there's this grand fucking crazy shit.
Maybe it will be, and I will recant my words. But like, he gave us his backstory, and there was like a little bit of intrigue about Azrael, but we didn't hear about that. But like, there was nothing seemingly swept under the rug about him.
Sure. Okay.
So it's like, yes, he's fun, but he does not give me the going forward interest that Amren does. Like, who also I think is fun and had some very cheeky and fun lines as well.
That's I will agree to Amren at 4.
Okay.
Because I think she checks more of the boxes of what we like. Like, I just generally like Cassian. I think
that's fine. I didn't dislike him at all. Like I said, my point was just that, like, there's just so much more intrigue.
Ooh, do we shorten his name to just Cass? That's kind of cool.
Then it sounds like a girl's name, like you call Cassandra Cass.
Or you can call Cassian Cass.
Or you could do that. That's interesting. We didn't talk, I feel like, a ton about Feyre sliding in at 3rd there. I feel like Rhys is obvious too, but I meant to bring this up, but I really expected this section to be a turning point for her. Like, that now that she was out of the Spring Court, now that she was in this house that was much more a home, and she could be more open with Rhys and not keeping secrets, I thought she was going to have like a big emotional turning point. That did not turn out to be the case, and I now feel like a dumbass for thinking that, you know, emotional problems can be solved that easily. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's just like, no, it's not that simple. Like, she still has so much she has to work through. And I'm
that's
like, duh. Oh, of course. Yeah, my bad, honestly.
I do kind of relate, but also, like, I mean, not really like, oh, like, you're an idiot. Just the fact, like, I am surprised and very pleased at how much better it is. I feel like that is not what happened. Right.
That's the thing. It's like, I feel like in so many other stories, that's where I'm coming from. It's like, that would be the, you know, the big emotional turning point, is that she's free from being under the heel of Tamlin, and, you know, she's safe and has a good relationship, and now she's just going to be all better now. She's good.
We talked about this.
No, it's actually not that simple or easy.
We talked about this a lot. I think it was last episode, how these books have a certain like closeness and realness to, I think they're just very emotionally aware.
Yeah.
Especially in the face of like trauma and depression and, like, you know, like mental struggles. So some of it can be a little uncomfortable, but like it's such a good character journey to be able to like watch somebody be able to work through that, and now that she's with Rhysand, to work through it with the person who is
truly cares about.
Yeah, who's
her.
there and who's available.
Yeah.
You know, who's just emotionally and I'm assuming will probably be physically available.
Oh. Oh yes, his ass is physically available.
Scott's read ahead apparently. Oh yes.
When she said it might rip her dress off, he gave her the old.
He's like,
and she's
me.
Talking about his bedroom.
He's like, bitch, I might rip your dress off.
True. All right, that is Who Be Courtin'. My fucking GOAT Morrigan taking the top spot. Rhys at 2, Feyre at 3, Amren at 4, and Cassian at 5.
Cassian. Oh, cashew nut.
I'm going to say it different every time just to piss you off.
Yeah,
I have to say, I am so happy because I discussed this when she was first introduced. I had a built-in Dragon Age bias to love a character named Morrigan, but I have to say I am so happy that I was going to love her regardless, but that she has backed it up. It's like, no, regardless of what whatever bias you came in with, Scott, she's actually just that fucking cool.
Yes.
That makes me so happy.
She fucking is, dude. Oh, that is the end. That's the end of the
another
podcast.
Episode.
That's it.
But
We're
I'm
done.
bumped. It's done.
Now,
That's the end, baby.
oh my god.
So long.
I have the next batch of chapters. If you are following along, remember, if you want to see the full list so you can kind of like section it out, join the Discord. But next episode, we will be discussing chapters 18 through 22. We will stop at 23. And apparently it's a good one. Apparently there's some good stuff according to Dom. So
Quit thumbs upping the fucking camera.
oh, they got that double thumb, bro.
Give him the old double thumb.
Give him the
Rhys
old
knows
double
about
thumb.
that one.
Guys, we appreciate you so much for listening and watching. Again, if you're new here, please consider hitting the subscribe button and the follow button on whatever podcast listening app you are using. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.